One of the most tragic things that an artist needs to accept, and it's also the most important, is this. I think anyone who goes into the arts was inspired by like a great artist before them. They were like, I want to paint like her. I want to write music like him. And that's what you're chasing, like that greatness. But ultimately, you can't. You just never will, ever. For me, the person I wanted to write like, I mean, I've been a TV writer for 28 years, but I really wanted to try something the way, to write something like the way David Sedaris writes. I just love his writing. I think it's beautiful. I think it's delicate. I love the way he crafts sentences. And so when I set out to write this, something that wasn't TV, my book, A Paper Orchestra, I studied a lot of David Sedaris. I read everything. Like, look here, I'm going to prove it. So I got all his books. I listened to his audiobooks first. Then I got the paperbacks. And then first I would read them just for enjoyment. And then I read them 2 or 3 times more to kind of study what he was doing, to try to really pick it apart and figure out how he did all this. And then the stories that really resonated with me, to me, they felt like he was just throwing a stone into a pond and you're watching the ripple until it finally, inevitably hit the shore. And then when it does, you go, oh, there it is. Like to me, that's the beauty of his writing. It's like, there it is, you're waiting for it. And so I began writing pretty much like him. I'm like, right? Because that's who I want to write like. And so I wrote a bunch of stories. And then after a couple of months, I set them aside. And after a couple of months, I read them again, with fresh eyes. And I was so disappointed. It just felt like it was a knockoff. It felt like I was just trying to be him. And even worse than that, it felt like the waves that were trying to follow, it felt like they never even hit the shore. It felt like they just kind of disappeared before they hit the shore. They didn't have the same energy to make it there. And then I was like bummed out about this because I was like, but there's an audience for what he does. We know people like the way he writes. Shouldn't I be writing like him? And then I was like, I guess I got to write like me. But then as I was writing like me, I was like, I just felt like I was doing it wrong. Like, but this is not what he's doing. It must be wrong. And at some point you just kind of have to have the courage just to kind of do it your way. And that's actually, the more I kind of thought about it, that's really the responsibility of art. If you're doing it the way someone else is doing it, it's just a knockoff. It's not art. It's a cheap and pale imitation. And so it's really important for you to put your own spin on it, because then that's the only way to make art. And so it's so strange that ultimately that feeling. But, if you're interested, this is my book, and it's uniquely personal about me, and it's the way I write, I think I have to write. In order to get that wave to hit the shore, like I wanted that wave, it had to crash. It had to be like, boom, there it is. Or else I felt like I couldn't see it hit the shore. And so I really had to change the way I approached all this. And as beautiful, as much as I love his writing, this is my writing. And so if you like the way I tell stories here, then I think you'll like A Paper Orchestra. You can find it at michaeljamin.com, and from there you can get a signed copy or a personalized copy on my website, or you can find links to get it, everywhere else where books are sold. Thank you so much for supporting this dream of mine at Michael Jamin Writer.